Sterling, Kenny, Cronin, Ella. A decade ago, Parramatta was the team. Now Mick Cronin wears the coach's cap, and it's Dunn, Speechley, Mann and Butner who are the embodiment of renewed hope for Parramatta fans. After 6 years in the doldrums, Parramatta's acquisition of 5'8" Michael Speechley and front rower Paul Dunn has been the catalyst that has spurred a resurgence. Scott Mann at fullback is displaying an all-round game, not seen with consistency before. Until last week, centre Michael Butner was the leading point scorer in the league. But 2 successive losses have burst the bubble of a dream start. And missing this week will be captain Stu Galbraith. Dunn takes over the responsibilities, and if he can get the ball to young Turk Dallas Weston, Parramatta can show they're a legitimate top 5 contender and not just a flash in the pan. The Canberra Raiders are showing every sign of matching the grand final winning Green Machine of 89 and 90. 2 weeks ago against Brisbane, they played some of the best football to be seen in years, only to lose by 2 points. Last week they handed the hapless Cronulla Sharks a drubbing. Today, Mal Meninga has almost his full contingent of stars. Walters, Belcher, Daly and Stewart. But still out injured is Bradley Clyde. Canberra have to win today because just around the corner is the Origin Series, which will leave the team sorely depleted. But it won't be easy in front of a partisan Parramatta crowd. At Parramatta Stadium, the Parramatta Eels meet the Canberra Raiders. And a great game it should be. Hello everyone, glad you could join us for our live ABC match. Unfortunately, someone who can't be here today is Arthur Beetson. The Sharks are playing Balmain tonight. And joining us instead is my old coach, the former Western Suburbs and St George coach and now media superstar Roy Masters. Thanks for coming along, Roy.
It's very good to be here. And should I reveal to your vast ABC audience that years ago we let a little secret out. 13 years ago I made you, against all the traditions, a winger, as you were then, captain of the mighty Magpies.
Well, that's no secret.
Yes, but not as many people thought because you got 4 level ones in the HSC, but because you were my 4th cousin once removed.
A very distant cousin, I must add. I think the Eels are just about ready to come onto the field, but 2 late changes in the Parramatta side. Michael Speechley is out, Dallas Weston is out, and those 2 key players certainly dent their hopes today.
Yes, I feel very sorry for them. There have been a very brave campaign in defence of their coach, Michael Cronin, but they're going to do it very hard today. Against their home, on their home turf is about all they've really got going for them.
Here come the Eels with Tolson Tollett in at halfback today. And David Penner in at 5'8", Chris King in the second row. They're the replacements for the regulars. Scott Mann is the fullback, Michael Erickson on one wing, Robert Muchmore and Michael Butner the centres, Joe Bartolo on the wing, David Penner in at 5'8", Tolson Tollett at halfback, Mark Horrow at lock forward, Chris King comes into the second row for Western alongside Cameron Blair, John Fernley, Shane Flanagan and Paul Dunn the front row, Dunn being the skipper today. The Canberra Raiders have been in excellent form in the last couple of weeks. Really starting to show the power, the pace of the Green Machine. They are in enemy territory today, but some big match players, very experienced in front of big crowds and away from home. Gary Belcher at fullback, Noah Nadruku on the wing with Mal Meninga and Brett Mullins in the centre, Meninga the skipper, Sean Hoppy on the other wing, Laurie Daly at 5'8", Ricky Stewart the halfback, Jason Croker at lock forward, Quentin Pongia and David Ferner in the second row, John Lomax, Steve Walters and Paul Osborne the front rowers. And really it is a star-studded side, even though Bradley Clyde isn't out there for them. Down on the sideline, one man who is with us today, Johnny Peard.
Good afternoon, Warren, and ideal conditions here for this game today. I think you've got to concede 2 things when you play Canberra, that they'll have a superior kicking game and also the fact that they're going to move the ball wide and make your outside backs defend. I think today Parramatta will be hoping that they can reverse a minor hiccup last week. Let's hope for Mick Cronin's sake that they can be consistent.
The referee today is Steve Clark, and play underway in fairly dull conditions. Quite a deal of rain this morning and overnight, but things fairly dry out there. And John, the surface looks pretty good.
Very hard, Warren. Should be a fast open game, particularly the way Canberra move the ball around. It's going to be Parramatta's biggest problem, just combating that ball movement.
Now it's Paul Dunn taking it up 35 metres out from his own line. John Fernley, the two big front rowers, making a few metres each time. Flanagan in a dummy half. Goes back to Tollett. He switches it to Scott Mahon for the kick, and it's a wobbly old kick.
I've got it, Warren.
He almost took it on the full.
Well, Scott Mahon looked at his hands then, as much as to blame them for it, but quite clearly he didn't get a very good grip on it. Slips just marginally out of his hand at the last minute, and of course now goes out on the full, setting a scrum with Canberra feed. Beautiful beginning to the game for the Raiders.
That ball really did seem to slip from his grasp just as he was about to kick. Here's Daly. Belcher up in the line quickly. Brett Mullins standing wide, but the defence read it well. Good tackle by Michael Butner. Never left his centre opponent. And we noticed the for and against, despite both teams being on 6 points with 3 wins, Parramatta have conceded more points than they've scored in attack. And the reverse is true for Canberra, an impressive record for Canberra. 99 points for, 58 against.
Well, they've been averaging 20 points a game this season. The difference this year is that their defence is a lot better. They conceded 21 last year.
As Daly slots it in, but Mahon across to cover the kick well. And a lot will depend on the enthusiasm. Good start there from Bartolo, his first touch of the ball. I should call him Joe Bartolo. For years we've been calling him the opposite. But he missed last week's game. Into action quickly today. Here's Dunn.
The amazing thing about Canberra, Warren, is their very condensed defence. The wingers stand 15 metres in from either touchline, meaning that they're defending only half the field.
2 kicks out on the full in a horror start for the Eels. This time it was Tollett, the first receiver, putting it out on the full, the former Penrith player.
Well, there's Tollett putting a right foot kick out on the full. He's not, of course, the regular kicker for the Eels. Stu Galbraith, their normal kicker, and Michael Speechley are both out injured. Good
pressure from Pongia on Tollett's kick. Now here is Meninga. Straight and hard. Taken by Blair. Switch of play. Stewart's got it. They've got the overlap, and a desperate tackle knocks it down. Play on with 6 more tackles as Stewart got back to clean it up. It was Chris King moving up smartly, and he realised the danger and decided to knock the pass down. Now Osborne loses it.
Well, Paul had a marginal look then at the opposition. He took the ball fairly flat, and of course here we see the ball going straight to him. You can see that he overran it slightly, but watching the defensive line, and in the process he copped one right across the chin for his troubles.
It was a bad play, the ball, Roy. He just couldn't get his timing.
The touch judge in giving the report. And it will be a penalty for Paul Osborne. Only just managed to knock that forward as he turned his back trying to get his hands on it. Canberra have only won 1 game out of 5 meetings here at Parramatta Stadium against the Eels, but they have won 4 out of the last 5 clashes, and last season they defeated Para 31-12 at Bruce Stadium. Pongia with a reception committee drives him back. Good tackles. Blair, Flanagan involved. Fernley there as well. On the inside angle is Croker. They're only 18 metres out, the Raiders. They've had all the territory. Daly flings it wide to Belcher. Butner was underneath him. Ferner straightens it up, and he's copped a highish tackle. I thought that really was the sidestep that made the tackle slip high. Flanagan will be spoken to.
Well, Shane Flanagan, the former St George and Western Suburbs player, made a bit of a desperation attempt because the fellow was stepping away from him. And under the New South Wales Rugby League's heightened awareness of head-high tackles, of course, this is going to bring a couple of points to the Raiders.
Yeah, but Roy, you can't do it to Donny's son.
That's true. Particularly the goal kicker as well.
And David Ferner will attempt the shot at goal from the 20-metre line. About 15 metres in from touch. Ferner with a 52% accuracy rate, 11 from 21.
I think that Tim Sheens would ignore all those statistics if he could have got the extra point up there against Brisbane on last weekend when a match drawing attempt hit the upright.
And Paul Dunn doing a bit of a Ray Price with his hands above his head, leaning to the right slightly as Ferner moves in and misses, not by a long way though, but he doesn't get any points for the effort. So score remains 0-0. We've had 5 minutes of play. A real test here for Parramatta. They played so enthusiastically in the first 3 matches of the season. 3 wins to open up after really the beginning of the year. Most people thought they would finish way down the bottom of the ladder. The critics were startled. That pass was forward to Pongia. And he's lost it back in the tackle. Steve Walters steams ahead. And this is a real test today for the Eels against the mighty Canberra side. Lomax feeds it back. They're keeping it alive. It went to Croker.
And the crowd aren't happy, but those passes are legitimate. They're rolling back.
Stewart switches it. Daly there. The defence was aware of Daly. Osborne quick hands to Belcher. Osborne working it to the right. And now Lomax gets into some heavy traffic. He keeps it alive well. Belcher. Stewart. Chance now for Meninga. Around comes Mullins with the overlap outside. Sean Hoppy straightens it up. One more pass was needed. Bartolo's tackle just managed to stop him. Meninga. Out to Steve Walters. Just 3 metres out. On the last tackle. Real pressure here. It goes to Daly. Nadruku's in there. Snaps it out of the air, but that's the last and it's a handover. And a great defensive effort by Parramatta to hold him.
I don't think they wanted Nadruku there. I'm sure that they would have just been happy to link the ball to the left. And of course, a rugby union man, he didn't make any attempt to roll the ball back on the last tackle in an attempt to try and keep it alive for the kick.
It's been all Canberra. They've been camped inside Parramatta's half. Parramatta have already made 28 tackles to Canberra's 14. Here's Dunn. But really, they had to weather the storm there, didn't they?
Oh, yes, so much possession, all emanating from those very poor kicks.
That's where, up the back of the stand, Mick Cronin alongside Ron Hildix, the 21's coach. Gary Belcher leaves it for Hoppy. And Hoppy looked on the left to see if Belcher was coming down the touchline, but Belcher had gone inside.
That's the first tackle they've made in Canberra's half, Warren. They've been digging themselves out of their own half for 6 or 7 minutes.
Ponga plays it back. Osborne slips it away to Ferner. It appears that Tim Sheens has told the Canberra forwards to unload at every opportunity. Lomax.
The pleasing thing for him, Warren, is that all the balls are sticking.
As a loose pass goes out to Nadruku. That last offload by Lomax, I mean, he's virtually just throwing it out the back.
Yes, it's clear that's the instruction. I would say what he wants to do is wear the Parramatta forwards down.
Daly, Mullins hangs onto it. Gets it now to Hoppy. 2 men coming across. Hoppy goes back inside and Horo makes a tremendous tackle. Really, it was like hitting a brick wall. Horo stopped him. Last tackle now. Stewart hoists it high. Croker coming through. Mann flies. Loose ball there for Canberra to take. Referee says it was knocked forward, but I think that was a tough decision.
He was right on the spot.
It was on the ground for a long time, but it was there for Canberra to take, I thought.
Yes, it rolled off the Canberra player's shoulder. He had possession. It's legitimate now. Well, I'm sorry, but I'd have to go with you, Warren. I can't see how there was a knock-on in that.
Unless, right as the ball came down, it may have just gone off the Canberra player into the Parramatta player, but the referee was closer than we were. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Now here's Eriksson. Take it forward is King. Now it's done. Safety first football from Parramatta, but why not? They must be shell-shocked. Swing it wide now, much more. Bartolo buried by Hoppy. Crowd howling about the 5-metre rule. Canberra with the compressed defence. Daly took off early, or not so much early, but very quickly. And at last, Parramatta managed to put in a good kick. Down to Belcher on his own goal line. Butner there to meet him. Nadruku tries to get inside Eriksson. Belcher loops a poor pass out to Ferner. There was no one there. No points on the board.
And he's out over the sideline, is he? No.
But Parramatta have got it. Very poor football by Canberra.
And it's amazing how long it's taken all of the Canberra players to get back on side. They've been doing so much attacking, they've forgotten how to defend.
Tollett, Dunn. Lomax gets in, Dunn trying to unload. Arms over the ball from Osborne. Tollett quickly through the hands of Fernley. Chance out wide for Parramatta. The defence buries them once more. Referee says the tackle was low enough. Stewart gets off Mann. Tollett quickly through in the hands of Penner. Trying to stay alive as King. Only 9 metres out. 5th tackle. Up it goes from Tollett. Pressure here for Belcher. Plenty of players underneath, and Belcher comes up with it. And the referee says taken on the full in the in-goal area, 22 tap.
Yes, the ball rolled away at the last minute, and there we see Tollett putting a high one up here now, using the posts pretty much as a shepherd. Coming through now is Belcher. He takes it cleanly, and at the very last moment the ball is taken from him. The referee deems that that's sufficient, that he's taken it cleanly.
Tremendous skill by Belcher, and maybe a touch of luck as well. When there's so many players going up for the ball, it's a lottery. Steve Walters out of dummy half. Walters has been in tremendous form. Man of the match last week in the demolition on Cronulla.
It's interesting that they're rotating the dummy halves in this game, Canberra. There, of course, we see the normal hooker, Steve Walters, passing the ball. But in order to keep the ball alive as much as they can in the forwards, they're using the first man into the dummy half position.
Ricky Stewart not getting much depth with that kick. It only went 30 metres. Much more.
I'd say that Canberra at this stage would probably be marginally disappointed that they haven't come up with 6 points with all the possession that they've had.
They let Parramatta off the hook with that bad mistake near their own goal line. The Raiders, total errors. Canberra actually have made 7 to Parramatta's 2. And those 2 were the kicks out on the full. Few loose passes from the Raiders as they have kept it alive. Now it's the 5th tackle. Parramatta making ground. 40 metres out from the Raiders line. Tollett steers the kick in behind Nadruku. And the Fijian Rugby Union international, who played 30 tests, quickly finding his bearings in rugby league.
They're heavily marking him, sending 3 players down that left-hand flank every time they kick in his direction.
Nadruku has scored 3 tries in 2 first-grade games. Now Lomax runs into some heavy defence. Hangs on to the ball this time, didn't attempt to pass. Pongia. And suddenly the game seems to have settled down after a whirlwind start by the Raiders. High kick from Stewart, hooking it back towards Bartolo. Hoppy's in front of him. He goes towards Meninga. Hoppy gets him. No points on the board, 13 minutes of play.
Some of the Canberra players are quite exhausted. You can see that they're looking for little breathers. Put so much into that attack, they haven't got a lot left.
Parramatta have got a back line here. Stewart saw it, but a bad pass from Paul Dunn, low down in front of David Penner, and he couldn't hold it, and there was an opportunity.
Well, if you see there closely too, you'll see that on the outside of the Parramatta players there's about 4 attackers, whereas there were no Canberra defenders to mark them. He was actually thinking about the pass before he caught the ball.
Must be a problem with the football. Stewart has kicked it away and gets another one. Ricky Stewart realised the danger. He quickly scooted across to the open side to try and plug a hole. Now the run around. Meninga holds it away and dumps off the Parramatta player, Horo. Horo quickly up, and now he misses the quick-stepping Ricky Stewart.
A couple of IQs will be a bit lower Monday morning, Brian.
Now the ball's been lost. And it was Meninga, couldn't hold on to it. They've got the overlap again.
Yes.
Penner goes to the line. Mann up from fullback. Taken in the tackle, and they've lost it on the first tackle, or the second tackle.
It's a clever defensive pattern. It involves racing up and then shuffling outwards. And here we see that they've realised they've got the numbers against them, but in the process of moving out, they force the error.
Yeah, what it does, Roy, it gives the attacking side a very tempting look at down the edges where it's vacant.
That's right, they panic because they get excited about the space they can see.
I think Parramatta have just got to use the ball up for 5. Forget about really tempting areas down the sideline and just keep running at Canberra, working their defence over.
I agreed. Surely the message must be coming out from Mick Cronin now to play sensible football, because these guys are tiring a bit.
Here's Daly, Belcher, Mullins. Brett Mullins, a very dangerous player, good step, very fast. And the Canberra players are walking, aren't they?
That's right, he had no one to pass that ball to.
They're in a big bunch in centre field.
He had 11 men and he couldn't pass it to any of them.
Stewart's kick rebounds. Nadruku lets it go over the touchline. And that came off the Parramatta player. Scrum feed to Canberra. And again, Stewart throws the football away. He wants the other one. Must be a little flat. Daly deep. Mullins. Belcher curving in behind. Hoppy, run-on-one tackle from Bartolow's a beauty.
It's a 20-metre loss, Warren.
From one side of the field to the other for no gain. Meninga quickly knocked over, now Furner.
This is amazing. There are Canberra players in back play with their hands on their knees, hunched over.
Well, I think they're working themselves out of position, Roy. They're moving it from one side of the field to the other, and they're taking a long time to get across to set up the next plays.
They clearly haven't got sufficient respect for the Parramatta defence that they're willing to move the ball with the speed and the lateral passes that they are.
Lomax is hobbling as Stewart puts it high. Nadruku coming through. Mann takes it safely. Well taken. Rolled into touch, though. Great tackle, Nadruku. No, it's a penalty, is it?
Yes, it was a double movement, I'm sure. The tackle had been executed. He pushed his luck too far.
Nadruku must be a little rough around the edges regarding some of the technicalities of rugby league, and he probably saw the sideline like any 10-year-old would and thought, I can get this guy over it.
That's right. Now, that should have been sufficient there, but there's another shove there. And he just pushed his luck a little bit too far from enthusiasm. Here we have an injury, a guy limping off now. It's one of the Kiwis, is it?
Yeah, John Lomax and replacement Mark Lowry.
He's a loss for them too, because he's their ball player in the forwards.
And it doesn't look like he will be back. Certainly going to need some treatment. Lowry a handy replacement though. Parramatta swing it out to Butner. Croker underneath him. Much more inside. Taken by Meninga. Cameron Blair up the middle. The Parramatta defence has stiffened. Their attack has settled down. And their rush of adrenaline that Canberra had early on just seems to have dissipated, and now they've come back to the field. Tollett off his left foot under pressure from Croker. A wobbly one to Nadruku. Well tackled. Chase from Butner initially. Also down there the big men. Paul Dunn.
Referee's doing a good job, Warren. He's getting them back a further distance than they were last night.
Well, that's a good 9 metres back from the ruck area. Osborne will be called on to do the hard stuff now that Lomax has left the field.
Plus a lot more of the ball distribution too.
Daly straightens, got inside Dunn, but a great tackle coming across their pennant. Last tackle. Driven low by Stewart down to Mann. Stewart there to chase. Mann steps in. Ricky Stewart was all by himself in the front line of defence. An easy mark to step past. Eriksson. Still going. Michael Eriksson, the big burly winger.
Good tactics by Eriksson too. You can see that that the forwards need a little bit of a break, so he comes in and makes an extra hard yard maker.
Eriksson gets another touch, and they carry play inside the Canberra half by 5 metres. Kenner turns it inside to King. Canberra defence still moving up in a solid line, but Parramatta moving the ball around. Tollett to Belcher. Hoppy tries to position himself inside. Good chase from Parramatta that time. Marnin much more down there. Hoppy juggles it. So far, Parramatta have made 77 tackles to Canberra's 51. Daly cuts across the ruck. Great hands from Meninga to Belcher. Back inside to Hoppy. It was a risky pass from Belcher. The defence covering onto Hoppy. And Belcher a little ambitious that time.
Yeah, well, it was nearing the end of the tackle count. I think a bit of desperation showing in his play, but there's good selective passing there. Mal just handballed it on to Belcher. Belcher didn't look, he felt the man there, but should have looked a little bit over his right shoulder to pop that pass.
Beautiful hands by Mal Meninga. He's still got the reflexes, hasn't he?
He certainly has.
Parramatta 5 metres inside the Raiders half. It's Bartolo, the Parramatta wingers coming in to the centre of the field, trying to get over that advantage line. Now it's Dunn, looks inside for Blair. They're only 30 metres out. No points on the board, 20 minutes gone. Chris King, the replacement for Dallas Weston, who's been a big attacking weapon for Parramatta. Tollett has a go himself. Furner quickly knocks him over. They've used up 5 tackles. Penner kicking back across towards Nadruku. Took it in the field of play. Ooh, and lifted by Blair. Caught of a spear tackle. Now this is Lowry, the replacement player for Canberra. Hoppy. Slack marker defence, and he picks up 10 metres.
Well, we can see how the wingers are being required to do more work as the forwards tire from both sides.
Lowry has another go. Lowry, a fresh reserve for Canberra. Stewart gives it more air this time.
No, it's bounced back.
A chase from Brett Mullins onto Ericsson. Ericsson gets away from him. Daly with the ankle tap attempt. And finally it's Stewart who is forced to make the tackle, and their back where the kick was originally placed. Dunn. Flanagan trying to keep him at arm's length. Walters, hooker on hooker. Penner, who started out brilliantly for Parramatta a couple of years ago, but has been a little quiet since. Blair. Was David Woods on the injury list for Parramatta? He was in form at the beginning of the year, scored a few tries. And Brett Kenny as well. Here's Butner. Gets away from the tackle of Croker. Finds much more inside. There's Tollett. Tollett with Nadruku in front of him. And Nadruku came in from his wing to make the tackle. Now scampers back out wide because Parramatta have numbers. Penalty goes to the Eels against Furner, and he could well be in the bin. He is into the sin bin, holding him down, delaying the play, the ball, prevented Parramatta going for the try.
Well, there we see Tullett. He's trapped. He wants to get up and play the ball quickly. It's the last tackle. He's desperate to get to his feet, and of course, he's quite correct. Donny's boy shouldn't do that. He's taken a second go at him, knocked him to the ground, and of course, they're going to collect the 2 points from this.
We've seen some good play from Parramatta. Roy, they've controlled it for 6. They've been using an angle run. 2 passes wide with angle runner inside. And just prior to Tulson Tollett's ruck play there, we saw Butner dummy inside and make some good ground on the outside before picking up the inside support.
Yes, even though Canberra have this compressed defence, which therefore means that they pack the centre of the field with plenty of defenders, it doesn't necessarily mean that the players have been tackling effectively. And Parramatta have been making quite significant yardage up the middle.
Now here's Michael Butner, right in front. Has kicked plenty of goals this year, 13 from 17, 76% success rate. And this is as easy as they come. And the first points are on the board. And after the early onslaught from Canberra, somewhat surprisingly, Parramatta lead 2 points to 0.
Well, this is against the expectations.
Well, coming into the season, as we said earlier, Parramatta, really no one gave them a chance in the world. And if they can beat Canberra here today, well, it's going to not only put a lot of the punters out of the dough this weekend, but it's going to be a tremendous boost in confidence for the Eels.
Oh, yes, and it'll demonstrate that last week against Canterbury was merely an aberration. It was just an off day, and their form should be judged on what they did in the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Butner takes the kick, gives it to King. Early in the season, I remember reading that Mick Cronin had set 2 goals for Parramatta. One was to win their home games, and secondly, never to lose 2 games in succession. Well, both of those goals went out the window in the first 5 despite their early success. They lost at home. They've just lost 2 games in a row. But they're showing plenty of confidence here and a real spirit to come out of that early onslaught by Canberra here and suddenly get right back into the game and post the first points.
Oh, some of those passes are a bit ordinary. That one there from Tollett.
Penner rounded up by Stewart and kicked straight down the throat of Belcher. Trying to link up with Nadruku. He gives him the pass. It just shows that Canberra will take a risk or two, throwing the pass back there. Daly. Straightening it up is Lowry. Osborne, one off the ruck, wants it. The solid defence comes in. Good hit from John Fernley.
Oh, yeah, he's very flat, Aussie, but that's a better run. He's making a bit more yardage there.
Pongia, the man. Gets out of dummy half, beats the tackle, grasping tackle of King. And Parramatta come up with it. Through Blair. And now they get the penalty. Up inside the 5 metres, 8 metres, whatever referee Clark has got today. It's about 8 or 9. And it's against Lowry. Well,
the ball's rolled loose as part of Tim Sheens's match plan to keep the ball alive around the rucks. Parramatta players dived on it, and we see that the culprit was the replacement.
And really, Roy, it wasn't so much the offload from Walters, it was the other players not being awake to pull a loose ball.
Yes, that's correct.
Now here's Dunn. He's only 6 metres out. Nadruku, the winger, standing alongside the upright. The wide open space is tempting Parramatta. Right in front of the posts. King plays it. Tollett switches to Dunn. Tollett again. Cameron Blair going in and then out. Can't make the break through the tackle of Lowry. Fernley powers for the line. Takes them on. Spins in the tackle. Can't get it down. Parramatta can go either way. Blair on the blind. Tollett on the open. They will go wide, surely. No, Penner makes a break himself. Well, maybe the Canberra defence was so intent on sliding that they took their eye off Penner because a simple step up his left foot and he went straight through what should have been rock-like defence. They were close enough to each other. They knew the danger so close to their line, but David Penner off his left foot and straight through, and someone's going to have to put their hand in the air for the missed tackle.
Well, it's going to be Ricky Stewart. He was exactly as you said. He was expecting that he would have to slide laterally to cover defend, and this very gifted young fellow that scored about 4 tries in his debut in football, stepped off his left foot. Clearly he's regained his confidence, and through he goes, the easiest of tries.
David Penner, the Parramatta Rookie of the Year in 1990, still just 21 years of age, and scored 18 tries in that year, 1990. But ankle problems last season didn't help him. This has been a tremendous effort by Parramatta.
Well, it's what we're seeing in 1993. I mean, every weekend it's generally can be established that the lowest ranked team can beat the highest ranked team. It's the type of football that we're going to expect when the code goes national in 1995.
Malmaninga laying down the law behind the posts, and I would think he's telling them that at least on the first 3 tackles they've got to make some ground. Here's Butner, another easy one. And he raises the flags, and Parramatta with a try and 2 goals lead 8 points to 0.
Well, you can see from this shot that Canberra got plenty of defence around the area. There's Ricky Stewart. He's assumed that Penner's going to pass the ball wide. He started to slide himself, but he's got on his feet, this lad. He's a player of the future, but just probably hasn't lived up to his potential in recent games.
Another problem with the football here, and there's a hold-up in play. The referee calls timeout, and they've had to retrieve the ball from behind the dead ball line. Ozzy Osborne being rested.
Darren Fritz, the new player, Warren.
The referee waves time on. So it's Darren Fritz, who played in the reserve grade game, on for Paul Osborne, as Horro just manages to get hold of the ball close to the touchline. Cameron Blair, former West player, has had a couple of seasons with Parramatta, but has made a more impressive start to this year. Fernley, and he's given room to move. They didn't move up to him. Pongia got him. Canberra defence slow to get out of the blocks that time. Tollett.
So Parramatta are kicking with a lot more confidence now, even though, of course, the ball's going straight down Belcher's throat.
Yeah, I think the Canberra pressure game's dropped off a little, Roy.
Yes, it certainly
Good
has.
pressure early.
And they're slowly coming back on side. Now, Tim Sheens really has got worries about the lead-up to this game as far as their fitness is concerned.
I can't believe it could be fitness this early in the game. Roy, it must be more of a mental, just a lapse, a drop-off in intensity.
Well, yeah, mental fitness.
Paul Osborne, who's left the field after 30 minutes, had only made 4 hit-ups.
But in his defence, of course, the tactics are clearly to shuffle the ball and move it from sideline to sideline. Here's Ricky Stewart,
Daly.
Daly, showing a little bit of individual brilliance as it becomes very desperately close to half-time.
Horo was waiting back there, almost seemed to have read the game plan. Tim Sheens knows that it's very important for Canberra to pick up these points because the representative season starts next week. On Friday, it's the City Country Games and then into the State of Origin series, and with 5 or 6 true star players who will be playing in that Origin series, he will have a depleted lineup. Ericsson gets outside Mullins. There was no winger because Nadruka had dropped back on the 4th tackle. Now it's the 5th. Tollett. Fernley. Buettner had to wait for it. Goose step. Now he puts the kick ahead. And good hands from Ricky Stewart to reach and knock it down.
You mentioned the representative season, Warren, but that should too have the same effect on the players themselves. I mean, these gifted players from Canberra, normally at this time of the year, they pick their tempo up as they look forward to being chosen in the representative teams.
The tempo was up in the first 10 minutes, but then disappeared. Here's Fritz, who scored a try in the reserve grade match, bullocking his way straight through the defence. Played in England in the off-season. Now bad hands by Pongia. The pass was a little behind him, and he dropped it backwards.
The dummy half passing from Canberra has been bad, largely, as I say, because of this business of letting any man go in.
The ball was stripped from Paul Dunn's arms. Penalty goes to Parramatta, right in front of the post, 20 metres out.
Well, looks like Ricky Stewart was the culprit there. That still got possession of the ball. Well, the referee obviously had a very good view of it all, but it's a rule that's always going to involve a certain degree of subjectivity, whether the player released the ball deliberately or whether, in fact, it was stripped.
Mal Meninga up there questioning, presumably, that decision.
Invariably, it happens in front of the post, which makes one wonder whether the player released it rather than the ball was stripped.
Stewart had his hand wrapped around. He wouldn't have been able to see the ball initially.
No.
He certainly had his hand on the ball, but he's looked as if he might have continued to rake it out, didn't he?
Yeah, but of course the fellows that normally release the ball are the experienced ones. So how come that experienced players, Warren, tend to be the ones that lose the ball in front of the opposition posts?
Well, it was Paul Dunn, and I can remember in years gone by, Paul Dunn was a master at having his hand under the man with the ball on the ball to prevent him playing it quickly.
That's right.
So he is one of the players who forced the rule change, and he's got the benefit of it here.
He's appreciating, Paul Dunn, the difference in the defence today as last week against Canterbury. I don't think he got an offload last week against Canterbury. He's not having a picnic yet, but he's starting to release balls.
Buettner just in front of the far upright, only 21 metres out, so the first 2 kicks were practice for this one. Canberra have made 10 handling errors, Parramatta only 2. Buettner taking his time. And another good kick from Michael Buettner, 3 out of 3. And Parramatta extend their lead. It's 10 points to 0, 7 minutes till half-time. What do you think Tim Sheens would be sending out? Or just go with John for the replay first?
Look, it is inconclusive, that shot. To me, I would err on the side of suggesting that Paul Dunn may have been very clever there and released it.
I wonder what Tim Sheens will be saying to them at half-time. Oh, great tackle by Meninga, inspiring stuff from the big fellow.
What he'd be hoping for now is a bit of individual brilliance from a person like Laurie Daly. That's obviously what he'll hope for.
He's probably always going to get that, Roy. It's the thing when you play against Canberra, you never know. They can always stick a try on you. I think defence is probably going to be Tim Sheens' major concern.
Yeah.
And the defence up there to meet them. Ericsson goes up the middle.
Can
See that compressed defence there, John?
Yes, but Warren, all they got to do is run at them.
Yes, they're
the
not moving
temptation
up.
to move it wide only brings mistakes, I think. They're not moving up. Exactly, Roy.
Now, Hoppy brings it back to the halfway line. Meninga. Out of one tackle. He left Cameron Blair behind. Blair going low on those tree trunk legs. Couldn't hold on. Croker. Steve Walters a dummy half. There's the overall error count. Canberra twice as many. Walters a dummy half, trying to wave his supports up there. Lowry. Quick offload to Furner. Poro up on him. But even though there were two Parramatta players all over the top of Furner, John Fernley was ready to charge in and make it 3. Daly placing the kick in to Mahon. Mahon saw 3 in front of him. He tried to beat Mullins. Good tackle. Overall metres gained. Parramatta now dominating. 8.24 to Canberra's 5.25. And Parramatta have had more ball 53% of the time. Fernley. He's met with some stiffer defence. Lowry over the top. And the late tackle comes in from Pongia. It was foolish. Will get a caution and give away a penalty after they've used up quite a few tackles, Parramatta.
Well, here we see the Parramatta player struggling. All he wants to do is play the ball. They're carrying on with a little bit, and then in comes Pongia, and he just compounds the stupidity of it all. And suddenly, Canberra instead of being in a position where they were ready to attack in the Parramatta half, are now defending down in their own.
And Butner with a good kick. Didn't have a lot of angle. Picks up 30 metres. And here comes John Fernley. Led with the raised thigh. Ricky Stewart questions it. Solid tackle by Pongia and Lowry. Tollett. The decoy was done. He gives it to King. Parramatta need to keep the pressure on Canberra. They can't afford to let up for a moment. Penner. Butner. Mahon up the middle. Finds some space. Pongia with the tackle. And Mahon loses it as he crashes to ground.
Now, he pushed his luck a little bit there, Mahon. He slipped the ball away with a one-handed, right-handed slip, but it's too low. Here it is there now. Flicked it back, but it was just a little bit too low for the backup player to collect it.
Now the Eels. Offside.
Yeah, there's no need for that pass, Warren. I mean, here's Canberra with a penalty now, but Parramatta could well have been using their 6 rucks and putting a kick into the Canberra in goal.
Stewart finds touch quickly. Here come the Raiders. 3 minutes till half-time. Urgency in their play. They want to try before half-time. Laurie Daly screaming at his forwards to take it on. And there's Lowry. Daly in behind the ruck, standing deep. Stewart goes to the right. It's Furner. Will it come back to Daly? He's got Belcher, Meninga and Hoppy waiting. There it is, the switch now to Stewart. Parramatta off too quickly. Poro up inside the 5. Daly, will he go for the tap?
Oh, he's got to take a goal.
Poro was a mile offside. It was almost a professional foul. He was so blatantly up inside the 5 metres.
Here we see he's facing the right, but we always know he's going to go to the open. The Parramatta players do. That is why with the man is so much offside. Everyone anticipated. I still think they could have handled that attacking raid with the men that they had without him being offside. The numbers were even.
If Laurie Daly was going to take the tap, then I agree with you, Roy, I'd take the 2 points. But if he was going to take the tap, he didn't have any choice once the referee blew his whistle.
Mm-hmm.
David Furner missing 1 shot so far. And Canberra will be very glad of any points for their first half effort here.
Yeah, if they can go in about 10-2, 10-4, I think they'll be fairly happy. Tim Sheens is obviously going to talk about defence at half-time, but he'll have to come up with a couple of attacking ploys.
Furner. Round the corner style of kicker, as most are now, and hits it well, beautifully judged, straight over the black dot. So Canberra put their first points on, The Parramatta lead 10 points to 2, and there's only a minute till half-time now. And Parramatta in no hurry, quite content with their 8-point lead. Paul Dunn just strolling up to halfway, quite happy not to give Canberra possession, even if it would be deep in their own half.
Time now to go back to Parramatta Stadium. Canberra Raiders taking on Parramatta Eels.
Well, thanks, Karen. After 5 rounds of the competition, only 2 teams, Canterbury and St George, have 5 wins, and they meet tomorrow in what should be a very exciting clash at Belmore to decide outright leader. 2 games tonight have an equally important bearing on the ladder. If you happen to be Wally Lewis, Arthur Beetson or Alan Jones, yet to register points, Cronulla meet Balmain down at Shark Park, and then also tonight the Gold Coast meet Newcastle at Seagulls. Last week a couple of thrashings were handed out. Canberra ran in 9 tries against the Sharks, with Steve Walters, John Lomax and Quentin Pongia paving the way. The backs enjoyed themselves. Noah Nadruku racing away for 2 tries, and just watch referee Graham West sprinting to stay with him in the 46-6 rampage. At Belmore, Canterbury demolished Parramatta, also scoring 9 tries, all going to the backs, and a hat-trick to Brett Dallas. But it was Martin Bella, Gavin Hill, Jim Dimmock and Craig Polomauta who led the charge in what was a second-half debacle for the Eels, 42-6. To Newcastle, where the Knights scored the only try of the first half, but trailed 6-4 against a depleted Norths. In the second half, a rash of Newcastle errors climaxed in a Robbie McCormack pass being intercepted by Darryl Halligan, the turning point in the Bears' 16-4 win. Wests were at home but bombed 4 try-scoring opportunities, while Illawarra scored the only try of the first half. But a dominant second half by the Steelers, and in particular Bob Lindner against his old club, sent West tumbling to their 4th straight loss, 24-2. At Seagulls Stadium, Ian Roberts and Dave Alexander spearheaded the Manly forwards, and the Sea Eagles led a determined Gold Coast 6-4 at the break. The score was locked at 8-all with 2 minutes to go, when, with fullback Matthew Ridge up in the line, Dale Shearer attempted to kick a loose ball through. Manly retained possession, and 5 tackles later, Jack Elsgood scored the winning try, 14 points to 8. At Cogra, it took a magical pass from Brad Fittler to Mark McGaw for the Panthers' sole reward from a glut for first-half possession. But by the break, the Dragons had their heads in front and stayed there in methodical fashion to win 15-4. At the completion of round 5 before last night's game, the ladder looked like this. Canterbury and St George on top on 10 points, Norths still undefeated with 1 draw on 9 points, Manly and Illawarra making up the top 5 on 8, East 7, then Canberra, Brisbane and Parramatta all on 6 points. Slipping back, Newcastle on 4, Penrith, Souths and Wests on 2, with the Gold Coast, Balmain and Cronulla all yet to score. The most significant news from the corridors of power this week was on 2 fronts. Firstly, the board of the New South Wales League decided that the power to cite players to appear before the judiciary should be taken from the clubs and revert to John Quayle. So we're back where we started. Secondly, the board unveiled its proposed finals format for 1995, when the competition should boast 20 teams. The finals will consist of an 8-team playoff with 4 teams in 2 groups.
This way, everyone keeps 11 home games. It is 22 weeks. It is a season that's no longer. It allows us split rounds for major representative fixtures. Then takes us into what we believe an exciting 8. We believe the most exciting part of that is the grand finalists, the 2 top teams meeting once, and that's in the grand final.
Last night, round 6 kicked off when Manly met Easts at Brookvale.
Freeman gives it away. Orford will go in and score. Oh, so easy in the final wash-up.
The only try of the match, scored in the 13th minute. East held that lead for the rest of the game to win 6-0. A tremendous defensive effort by East, but really Manly butchered a couple of tries and could well have won that game. Now, just getting back to 1995, I wonder whether we will see a 20-team competition come 95. A number of inner-city teams are facing extinction or merging. And likewise Perth. It's a brave move by the Rugby League, but I wonder whether they will get to the starting gate, Roy. I mean, they don't have a player base. I don't know whether they can attract the players to have a competitive side without a draft in place.
That's correct, but they'll have an initial capital, I'm sure, and the league will help them as much. I've often wondered whether there are enough players to justify a 20-team competition. But when you see a young bloke like David Penner today, come up, get his opportunity in first grade and score the only try of the match today, it gives me some faith that maybe we will have the players out there. John Quayle made one, did not, however, John Cannon Quayle, the man who tells the truth all the time, he did not mention, however, that one of the reasons for the 8-team competition is the fact that they want to play semi-finals up with the 66,000 capacity stadium up in Brisbane.
Indeed. Well, let's have a look at the half-time stats. Overall tackles, Parramatta have made 117 to Canberra's 106. 20 errors by Canberra to Parramatta's 13. Penalties 5-4 to Para. Scrums 5-2 to the Raiders. Overall, Parramatta ahead in metres gained and in terms of time in possession. And at half-time they lead 10 points to 2. And Johnny Peard, what's the report from the dressing rooms?
Well, Warren, in the Parramatta room, there's a confident mood in that room. And Mick Cronin stressing that they must control the ball for 6 tackles, put some pressure on this Canberra defence as they have done in the latter part of the first half. Tim Sheens took unusual action in the other room. He only visited the room for about a minute. And I mentioned that new ploy Tim, he said, no, I've done most of my coaching during the week.
Well, it looked as if the coaching was in place in the first 10 minutes, but things changed. I would have thought that Tim might have had a few additional messages about how to get back on track. Here's Meninga.
Well, I'd say that what Tim is trying to demonstrate to his players is that he's pretty disgusted and they're going to have to get themselves out of it. It's a fairly common coaching ploy.
Mark Lowry takes them on up the middle. Soon see whether the players have worked it out. Steve Walters from dummy half. Good tackle. Chris King, the tackler. Now Stewart. The Ricky Stewart kicking game is something you can always depend upon. Scott Mann brings it back. And he beats the tackle of Meninga in the end. Meninga had him for a while, and then he finally pushed away from him. Eriksson. Very important for Parramatta to hang in this game. They have the 8-point lead, but you would think that if Canberra were able to score a couple of tries, Parramatta's resolve might be tested.
And here we have Eriksson wandering to the sideline, seeking attention.
Cameron Blair running the angle with Tollett. What is Michael Eriksson doing? He's on the field, but he's way offside. He's
waiting for the trainer. Obviously, the trainer hasn't picked up the signal that he wants some help. Here he comes now.
Penner with the kick on the last. And it's back for Nadruku. Scott Mann with a good chase. Nadruku recovers quickly and heads back upfield, but good tackles come in from the Eels. Now Belcher. David Furner is down in back play. The Raiders with 12 men in action. Top tacklers in the match. Dunn with 19 also leads the hit-ups for Parramatta from Flanagan and Blair. And for Canberra, shared between Pongia, Osborne and Furner, the defence. David Furner just getting back on his feet now. Croker knocked over, 10 metres short of halfway by Horo and Dunn. Last tackle, the kick from Stewart to Mann, and Stewart and Daly lead the chase. Mullins gets across on Mann. So steady football from Canberra to begin the second half. The kicks taking Parramatta back into their own half. Here's Bartolo. Tollett, Penner.
Blair
outside him, and Penner goes straight through. Has support inside and outside. Gets the pass away to Cameron Blair and gives it to Tollett. Tollett changes direction. Blair overran him. Good chase from Nadruku. The Eels on the attack now with Fernley. Takes him on himself. At the last moment tried to unload. Croker all over him. Should be a penalty. The referee playing the advantage with the Eels. Tollett. Butner. Tries to get inside Mullins. Hangs onto him grimly. 5th tackle now. Tollett. Up it goes. Coming down just on the line. Belcher flies and takes it beautifully. Second tremendous take of the game by the fullback Belcher.
It was great the way he was protected there too. You can see that the Canberra forwards are forming a wall, allowing him to take that ball unimpeded.
David Penner, the try scorer in the first half, making an incisive break. Now Daly, outside Buettner and almost away. There's such sharp acceleration, Laurie Daly. Must be a handful to mark. Hoppy.
Roll away, fellas, roll away. Hold on.
Deep pass to Stewart. And he lets fly with a whopper of a kick, but Mahon well positioned.
I think Mahan's having a great game. He's running the ball back in position to receive the kicks, making the extra man in attack, defending very well.
Yeah, the feature of his play, Roy, has been his anticipation. He's been there to cover the low kicks and the high kicks.
And for a guy that was spent most of his career as a centre, he's taken to fullback play very well.
Ball done. Gets it away to Blair. Blair cut back inside. Had no support outside if he had gone that way. Ericsson. Thundering up the middle. Boot-busting run from the winger. Left a boot behind. Tollett. Penner. Back on the inside is Horo, and he beats the tackle of Furner. Still going, Horo. Only 18 metres out now. Last tackle coming up for the Eels, who are on the boil. Up it goes from Tollett. Another test for Belcher. They all leave it for him. Who comes up with it? Gary Belcher again. Perfect record. 3 out of 3 for the Bombs for Belcher, and they've all been hard ones to take.
Here it is, but we'll see here again the wall as Canberra players make sure that he's the only one that's going to receive it.
Some danger signs here for Canberra. Their defence is being worked over by Parramatta. Pongia hit by Fernley and stays hit. Also in there was King.
He's a good hitter, Fernley.
He's a boy from the bush, down the Riverina way. They know how to whack down there.
Last tackle. Stewart has to get away from Dunn. Stewart keen to kick to Ericsson's wing. Mahon. Stewart with a tackle. Horo. There's a bit of a New Zealand connection with these two teams, particularly Canberra. Also Mark Horo.
It's interesting that the New Zealand forwards from both teams have taken about 9 weeks to get themselves into condition, particularly the Canberra two. It's interesting again too that Parramatta have taken a leaf out of Canberra's book by keeping the ball alive around the rucks.
There's a fine offload by Dunn. Now it's Tollett. Last tackle. Ricky Stewart's up there at second marker. They're running it on the last. Penner now with the kick. Coming through is much more. And Belcher at that time takes a deep breath as the ball is allowed to go over the touchline. Quickly back for the tap. There was the kick. It just floated out towards the line, out on the full on the last. So Canberra with the handover in possession. Croker. 10 metres short of halfway. Fritz looms up alongside Steve Walters, who makes good ground. Parramatta leading 10 points to 2. Daly shops around, finds Pongia. Meninga tried to slip it at the last moment to Belcher. It's a Parramatta ball. That must have just about been knocked forward by the Parramatta hand.
I also think that maybe a Parramatta player may have stopped the support player from getting to that ball.
Knock on to Parramatta.
There was much more knocking it forward. Flanagan. So Parramatta have had plenty of ball early in the second half, and they have camped for the most part inside Canberra's half. The only time Canberra get over the halfway line is with the kick, and pretty quickly Parramatta come back at them. Total errors 30 by Canberra, only 14 by Parramatta. All down the line. The right-hand side tells the Canberra, while they have been a little more adventurous, have also been making errors. Last tackle coming up for the Eels. Tollett goes a little too deep this time. This is an easy one for Belcher, and he takes it on the full in the end goal. The first time the kicking game has let Parramatta down.
And they've initiated a quick quarter tap here with the winger Hoppy making an attempt to break through.
Desperate defence just got hold of him. Now it's Lowry. Canberra have also picked up their intensity. They realise that there really is a game on out there now. Croker. Why not? The Raiders are down by 8 points. Coming into the game as hot favourites. Stewart runs. First time Ricky Stewart has run all day.
I'd like to see Laurie Daly get in and do the same thing. I'm sure that he could catch a napping defence or an anticipating defence.
Croker runs off Meninga. Over the top. He's got support in Mullins. Mullins streaks away. Mann in front of him. Scott Mann with a block-busting tackle stops him dead. What a tackle. Mullins many a time would have stepped the fullback in that position. Now Canberra get the penalty as Parramatta go on with the tackle. But a try-saving tackle. Paul Dunn over there talking to the referee as well.
Well, here we see, he's taken it. He hits the deck. He wants to get up and play the ball quickly. The Tulson Tollett comes in and compounds it. And then another little push over the top. And it's a double penalty.
Canberra go for the try. They're 10 metres out. Fritz could have gone for the shot at goal. It was a difficult angle. They're down by 8 points. Going for the try. Now 5 metres out. Lowry fighting to get to his feet. Stewart. Back inside is Furner. Parramatta defence holds on again. Flanagan wraps himself around Furner. Stewart deep to Daly. Bad pass. Meninga, they've dropped back 20 metres. Now it's Daly inside. Stepping, staying alive. Nadruku. Oh, he goes straight for the line. He powers towards it. Held up over the line. Great Parramatta defence, but Nadruku took off like a rocket from 12 metres out. It looked as if he wouldn't even get close. Geez, there was some power boost behind Nadruku.
Here he is. He makes no attempt to evade. He just wants to crash his way through like the warrior that he is from Fiji, one of the Batu class as it is. But I find that there he is taking the ball now, running with the ball in his right hand, attempting just to crash his way through, and of course he was held up. In Fiji, he certainly would have broken through.
Canberra had the scrum feed and they've got the ball through Belcher.
Yeah, Nadruku must have been very conscious of the rules then. If you get held up to the tackle 1 to 4, you get the feed in the scrum. And that's what happened, and Canberra can still maintain that pressure.
Walters with the little dummy, still going, slips the pass. Lucky for him, there was someone there to receive it.
Well, I reckon Tim Shanes has pulled the right rein by not going in at half-time, because the players are just playing off the top of their head football. They're not playing structured football, and it's working for them.
Kick ahead from Daly. Mann fumbles over the dead ball line off the Canberra player, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's a goal line dropout.
It's a line dropout, yep. McMahon knocked on in that. There's Laurie Daly chancing a chip. McMahon scoops it. Went forward initially, and therefore we should have a goal line dropout.
I just thought it might have gone. Oh, I think it was Mann in the end also knocked it back, didn't he? Yeah.
It was Mann did it twice, yeah.
Quentin Pongia off the field, Warren. Replacement is Jimmy Vacoso in 16. So one of the backs will move into the forwards.
Vacoso played in the centres in reserve grade. Now Fritz brings it back.
Yeah, on this form,
he's onto him well. Well, Fernley it was.
On this form, Fritz won't be in spending too many reserve grade games this year.
It's like Mal's gone into the forwards, Roy.
Yeah, the position that we always expected from Big Mal. He wants to go on his 4th kangaroo tour from the second rower.
Croker on the inside angle. Parramatta inside the 5 metres. Not far from the post. Will Canberra go for the try this time?
No, they've got to go for goal, surely. With trailing by 8 points, might mean a converted try will put them even. No,
he is taking the tap. From a handy position for the penalty goal, they go for the 6 points instead.
Surprising decision in view of the amount of time that's left in the game.
Stewart. Tollett's got hold of him, and Stewart loses ground. 19 metres out now. Daly can't get through the middle, and they come from everywhere, like ants on a piece of meat to stop Laurie Daly. Fritz puts it down. The mistake is made, and Parramatta have got the ball, and the decision to take the tap comes unstuck.
And the entire Parramatta contingent, coaching staff in front of us, lean forward, breathing a collective sigh of relief, knowing full well that the score should be 10 points to 4.
for Parramatta. I think that's John Fernley, hurt. There he is, just diving on that loose ball. They've just copped a little kick in the ribs. So Parramatta have possession again. 10 points to 2 in favour of the Eels. Canberra have been applying the squeeze to them in the last few minutes. Now Cameron Blair gets outside the 20-metre line. He beat the tackle of Vicoso. Done. Now they're 32 metres out. They're out of the danger zone. Lowry is hurt. Tollett kicks in behind Nadruku. And the Fijian gets back. Over the top comes Eriksson to push him down into the dirt. Croker. They're just getting back to that kick at goal, Roy. Easy to say afterwards, and you said before the event, but 2 points would have got them within 6 points, and a team like Canberra should have the confidence they can score a converted try.
Oh, yeah, there was so much time left on the clock too, Warren. It was a panic play.
Stewart goes deep to Daly. The converse is that if they do score a converted try now, they're still going to be behind by 2 points.
That's right.
Stewart kicking deep. Mann comes across and won't try to touch it.
Well, Mann had an outstanding game against St George 2 weeks ago. Here we see the kick, and he's clearly in position, choosing his option, whether to let it bounce over and get the feed from the scrum. And Ricky Stewart seeking a little bit of attention there, getting his mouth guard, a bit of water on it. The pace of the game has been quite intense.
An unusual game when the fortunes have swung from one end of the field to the other in sections of time. 10-minute bursts. One team will be on top, then the other.
And Parramatta are very cleverly using the winger too. A big guy like Eriksson as an extra forward, taking the heat off them.
Butner. Mullins goes low and takes him. They were hurting him across field. Bartolo. Poppy grabs at him, comes again. To the halfway line. Good ground made by Parramatta in that couple of sets. Fernley. 10 points to 2 in favour of Parramatta. 25 minutes to go. Tollett. Penner. 5 tackles gone. Referee Clark gets Canberra back. Tollett goes for the... No, he doesn't go for the line. A bit of a nothing kick, really, but forces Belcher back.
It does, and the defence is right up there. They've got them now about 15 metres from their line.
Good result. Nadruku. He has 2 gears, doesn't he?
Yes, and I don't think he's going to pass the ball too much this year, Nadruku. So confident in his own ability to break the line.
30 metres now from their own line. Lowry is recovered from a knock a few moments back. John Fernley goes over the top of him with Shane Flanagan. There's been some powerhouse tackling from Parramatta. They've tried to gain the upper hand with power defence. Croker. Walters. Back to Croker again. Looks for his winger to pass out in front of Hoppy over the sideline.
Well, Croker, as a former winger, would not have wanted to have received that pass that he threw. And there it is there. He's made a little bit of a break. Can see some space there. Got a little bit too anxious and passed the ball out to, to Peter Brady, the invisible man.
Parramatta with a scrum feed and a deep back line which stretches all the way across to Eriksson on the far touchline. Will they use it? Till it goes the blind. Flanagan, or Bartolo it is. Penner, one off the ruck. Butner, Mann, cuts back inside. Still going, Scott Mann is elusive. And made ground too. Done. Blair can't hang on to it. Daly's there to pick up the dregs.
They can't get a quick enough play the ball to take any initiative. Here's Belcher coming in, down the blind side.
Ankle tap by Muchmore. Lowry. No matter what happens in the last 20 minutes, Parramatta have made amends for the hiding last week at the hands of Canterbury. Meninga. Mullins.
They just can't get their arms free and pass and keep the attacking motion going. This Parramatta defence is just too desperate.
Meninga can't break them either. King in his road. Stewart. Daly takes off. Curves wide. Belcher comes back inside, but the path of the pass was blocked by Paul Dunn. Last tackle now for Stewart. Tries a little chip. Coming through Nadruku. John Fernley beats them. The big front row there, and that was a high tackle from Paul Osborne, who's only just come back on. Ericsson. John, there's no doubting the spirit of Parramatta, is there?
No, Warren, they've probably had physical and mental anguish all week after last week's hiding, but they left it somewhere during the week, probably on some bar.
In fact, Paul Dunn made the comment before the game that it had been a short week because they played on Monday, now on a Saturday, so they hadn't had too much time to worry about it. To get it out of their system quickly. Here's much more. Tackle by Vicoso. Last tackle, Canberra pretty flat, and the kick from Ericsson straight to Belcher. Belcher rounded up by Horro.
Fallen down their kicking game, Blade. That was a poor kick by Ericsson, and Tulson Tollett should have probably got a high kick, but there's a mistake. That'll help the Parramatta side.
Hoppy puts his own side on the rack. Only 20 metres out. Dunn gets it wide. King, Butner. Tollett again. Pushing them off. The Canberra defence will need to tighten up. Start making tackles that count. Fernley sets sail for the line. 9 metres out now. Parramatta props. Both of them have made 27 hit-ups. Up the middle comes Horro, running the angle with Penner. From this distance, maybe you can get outside the slide defence. Here's Tollett. Swings it wide. Butner comes back inside. Penner hesitating, almost stared the defence down for a moment. Dunn goes himself, spinning his close, looked like he lost it. Lost the ball forward as he tried to swivel in the tackle.
He tried to put it down with one hand, I think, and he's got a big grin on his face. He knows that he didn't put it down.
I wonder whether it was hit out of his hands.
Just showing the value of the spin there, Warren. Spun out of a tackle, just couldn't get the ball down.
From that close to the line, Paul Dunn almost did it. Mullins has got it for the Raiders. Vicoso, the Tongan, bursts out of dummy half. That's a good run. Slow play by Canberra's. Ball is very lucky to get there in time.
And got 6 against for it, an error which ended up with another 2 tackles.
Osborne, Brett Mullins has had the wind knocked out of him. Stewart with 2 decoys, goes out to Croker.
He's only 21, young Brett Mullins, but I think he's got to increase his involvement in the game more.
Steve Walters. Back to Ferner, but Horro was right on the hammer of Ferner as he got the ball. Daly up the blind, tries the kick much more, plucks it out of the air. And the last couple of little kicks by Canberra trying to vary it haven't worked. Fernley got the first one from Stewart. Muchmore picks that one up from Daly. And Vicoso tries to take care of Muchmore too. Penner. Blair. Gives it to Bartolo. Hoppy coming across. Mullins inside. He makes the tackle. There's the slide defence in action. Mahon. But Parramatta playing it at the right end of the paddock. Leading 10 points to 2. 18 minutes to go. Blair ducks under a tackle. Over the top went Lowry. Only 13 metres out now. 5th tackle. Tollett. Grubbers into the in goal. Across comes Belcher and Nadruku. Can he get out, Nadruku? No. Slammed to ground by Tollett and Muchmore.
Parramatta's tactics are very clever. They're going to play the entire game down here. Grubber into the in-goal area. Frustrate them. No full. There's the grubber off his foot. Chases through. Nadruku picks it up. There are 2 or 3 players there to mark him.
Fernley's off the field, Warren, and replaced by Windmill, 26.
And Canberra quickly dropping out. So Parramatta get another set of 6 inside the Raiders' half. Dunn. There's Windmill. Darren Windmill from the East Club in Brisbane, joining Parramatta this year. Crossfield goes Blair. Options either side for Tollett. He goes to Penner, puts it down, and finally Parramatta have made the mistake.
Well, I would say, Warren, that this is the last chance that Canberra have got. I know that there's still plenty of time left on the clock, but if they don't psychologically make a big break from this next set of 6 tackles, they're going to be in awful trouble.
You've got to give Parramatta credit. There's a lot of young players out there, but they're playing with a deal of experience up top, aren't they? Particularly seeing Paul Dunn as the most experienced player there.
Oh, it's an amazing testament to the club that they can come back after a thrashing in 5 days with 4 of their best 5 players off the field.
A lot of credit's been given to Paul Dunn and Michael Speechley. Well, Speechley's not out there. Brett Kenny's not out there. They're the old heads. Daly.
Laurie just can't seem to make that break where he did 2 or 3 years ago, where he could swivel and snap out of tackles. Here we are, the last tackle coming up, and Laurie elects to run it.
He's in trouble on the last. Flicks it out to Croker. Now to Stewart. Stewart's got numbers here. Lowry. Meninga over the top. Mullins has got to keep it alive. It's the last. To Stewart. Parramatta getting thin now. Nadruku. Comes back inside. Flicks it out the back. He knew it was the last. Osborne. Belcher. Canberra keeping it alive. Croker inside the 20. Croker going close. He takes a tackle, throws it on the ground.
He had a man outside him and he did not pass the ball.
And Scott Martin screaming at Parramatta to get back and help him.
Croker had the ball. He had a man on his left wing and he didn't pass it.
Here it is, the last play from Croker. Well, we didn't see much of it. So Parramatta in possession. There must have been about 15 passes in that last tackle. All started when Laurie Daly went from dummy half and almost got caught.
Yeah, Hail Mary stuff really, Warren, because Ricky Stewart handled the ball about 11 passes previously. Had plenty of time to put up a kick, but opted to go for the pass. I thought it was surprising. He could have put a lot of pressure on Parramatta with a good kick.
Parramatta leading by 8 points. Darren Windmill with the ball. They've used up 5 tackles. Still 20 metres short of halfway. Tollett kicks straight to Belcher, but luckily for him it takes the bounce away from Gary Belcher. A kick straight to Belcher's hands that time would have just about allowed Belcher to get back to the halfway line. Stewart has a run, taken by Dunn. Nadruku. Nadruku seems to be in the centres at the present time.
Well, obviously with Mal going into the pack, there's...
Maybe Vicoso's gone onto the wing.
Mark Lowry's off the field also, Warren, and Mark Corbo in 36, new player. That's
there he is. Corbo gets inside the Parramatta half. Daly. Meninga. Cross comes Tollett in cover and covers it up well. Kicked just a little too deep from Mal Meninga that time. Canberra with 16 handling errors. Early in the game, some of them were excusable as they were intent on keeping it alive, but since then, a few of them have been costly. And that's against Parramatta's control of the ball, just 5 handling errors. Windmill. Penner limping towards the touchline.
Jason Stewart in 49 takes his place, Warren.
Tollett under pressure from Croker, had the arms up high. Hoppy goes back. And a good tackle by Buton that takes him low.
This is an area of Canberra's play which has let them down there. They're sort of a counter-attack from the receipt of a kick. Normally a Canberra side can really rattle the ball back on the receipt of a kick. But you're going to find now there's the third ruck there and they're not going to haven't made much more than about 10 metres.
And that means that they're spending a lot of time around their own 20 and 30 metre marks for virtually sets of 6.
That's exactly right.
Very enthusiastic, the Parramatta defence, Roy. Nullified a lot of their plays.
And they're still going hard. Meninga. Vacoso cuts through. Done with a great tackle. It went to Mullins, though. Mullins with Mann. He beat Mann's tackle, but there's one more in his road, and it's much more. No, it's Horro. Great tackle from Horro. But what about the tackle from Paul Dunn? A big front rower reaching across to cut them down. Now it's Daly. On it goes to Croker. Belcher dummies to Nadruku. It's Daly again. Further in centre field. One side of the field to the other, and Ericsson gets a bad pass. Bounced right at his feet. Ericsson able to take it for Parramatta. Poor football to finish there from Canberra.
Yes, it was a bad pass from young Ferner. He had 2 or 3 men he could have passed it to, but went for a long one which bounced on the ground into the Parramatta player's arms.
Darren Windmill has it for Parramatta, and they lead by 10 points to 2. There's 11 minutes to go. Sure, a lot of footy tab punters would have backed Canberra to win today. Scott Mann.
Well, the New South Wales, the city selectors are looking to try and find a fullback. I know that they're thinking about Brasher, perhaps. And they're having a little bit of trouble choosing one. But my man's out here on the field now. I reckon that they should give it to Scott Mann. I think he's playing an outstanding game.
Osborne. Nadruku flicks it inside to Croker. Came off Paul Dunn. Dunn's managed to pull it in. They're starting to play catch-up football a little here, Canberra. The orthodox football hasn't worked. They're trying to keep it alive, but it's not working because of this enthusiastic, determined Parramatta defence. Only one try scored in the match by David Penner in the first half. Parramatta leading 10-2. Flanagan. He's only 23 metres out. All those Canberra errors mounting, telling a story. It comes out to Mann. He feeds it onto Ericsson. Knocked down by Mullins. It's play on from the referee. Mullins could go all the way. He will not be stopped. Chris King gives chase. Brett Mullins streaks away. But it will be very interesting to see whether he knocked it on.
No, I'm sure that the pass was knocked down by the Parramatta player.
So Mullins gets Canberra back in the hunt. With 10 minutes to go, it's 10-6 in favour of Parramatta. Kick to come for the Raiders. Mullins exhausted after racing 70 metres. There was simply no Parramatta backs in sight to chase him. Here's the play.
It's a long one across to Mann. He slips the ball to Ericsson. Ericsson rolls the ball back, but he was onside. The ball did not come off Mullins. He picked the ball up, and it's a fair try on my money.
A one-horse race as Brett Mullins is chased by a second rower, Chris King,
who's played the entire game and came into the side late. Here we are.
Have a close look at this next pass.
No.
Oh, I reckon it came off Mullins.
Oh, you think it came off Mullins' left hand?
What do you think, John?
Yeah, certainly a knock-on off Russell Mullins.
Yeah, it happened right in front. So the kick has been landed, and all of a sudden, Parramatta are under threat. Canberra within 2 points.
Well, maybe they'll rue that decision not to take the kick at goal earlier. And here we are again. Now, let's look for the left arm of Mullins. Well, I still believe it's inconclusive. I can't see that.
You're wearing glasses.
That's right. That's why I got better vision.
Well, Michael Ericsson will rue that error. He made a couple last week which were embarrassing, and really, considering the situation of the game, it was a risky pass to try and throw. But nevertheless, he may have been hard done by. And now the mistake is made by Canberra. And they're dismayed at the referee's decision as well.
Warren, it'd be an absolute tragedy if Parramatta lost.
Yeah, they've played tremendous football, haven't they,
Yeah,
John?
they've been the better side, more enthusiastic. They've just done the job today.
A run around with Goodner scooting around as Jason Stewart, and still going Jason Stewart. Bartolo. Parramatta may be able to wrap it up with a try.
Peter McPhail on the field for Flanagan.
Tollett. Peter McPhail signed from North Sydney. Colson Tollett signed from Penrith, playing their part. Stewart. They're only 9 metres out. Possession the key for the Eels as Dunn takes them on. Slips it to Budner. Quick pass to King. Looking for support on the outside. It wasn't quite there. Last tackle. Tollett. Rubbers.
Bad decision.
Daly's there. Daly read it all the way.
Bad decision. They had plenty of men on the outside. My man of the match, without any doubt, is, I believe, it should be the City fullback. I think that Scott Marner's had an outstanding game.
He has had an outstanding game, Roy, but you obviously haven't seen East playing.
You like hi-ho silver, do you, mate?
He's going very well.
Daly. Away goes the Juju. Flicks it out and Hoppy's got it. Great one-arm pass. Hoppy's away. Scott Marn in front of him. Hoppy trying to get a bit of room to move, and Marn makes another tackle. Second try-saving tackle of the game by Scott Marn. Madruku from dummy half. Stewart, 40 metres out. Meninga floats it to Belcher. The bad pass held him up. He gets outside Ericsson. Ericsson with the chase and the tackle. Vacoso.
It's a forward pass.
Right to the touch.
It's a forward pass, Warren.
Well, one or the other. The touch judge's flag is in the air. That's right. The last tackle, Marn pulled out. Didn't make the last tackle. Now, did Belcher touch the line? He must have at that point. Gee, close decision.
Gee, it was one stud if he did.
And it was try time for Canberra.
Let's see, I'd say maybe his right foot just may have grazed it.
Here it is again. Or maybe the heel there.
It's the left heel, yeah.
He's so close, and they would have scored. Canberra would have scored. Parramatta survive. 10 points to 8. And Scott Marn, 2 enormous tackles, one-on-one against flying wingers, and he has stopped them both. So Parramatta have to weather another 5 minutes yet. They lead 10 points to 8. Dunn, who's worked like a Trojan. Paul Dunn leading the tackle count, 34 tackles. And 19 hit-ups. Charged down here by Croker. Marn gets back. Can he get away from Jason Croker? He can. Great work. And a fine tackle by Laurie Daly. Poro taking his time to play it. Parramatta trying to get organised much more. Locks up the ball. Dunn goes again. Careful to cover up that ball. Peter McPhail. One out stuff from Parramatta. Why not? They lead on the scoreboard. 4 minutes to go now. The kick from Stewart. Real fine touch. Hooking it right across. In fact, they could have given Hoppy a chance if he'd been able to get to it.
They'll put everything they can into this scrum, Warren. Canberra. It's their last chance, I'd say.
Jason Stewart there with the kick, coming off the inside of his boot, but managed to find touch.
Mel standing very deep.
Daly. If any team can win a game from here, it would be Canberra, maybe Brisbane. 2 great attacking sides. Belcher. Hoppy. Well tackled. Bartolo the man. Stewart. Fritz. Just short of halfway. Daly. Meninga. Turns on the pace and the power. Gets through. Close to the line. Throw it on the ground. Well, Meninga left that ball inside. Parramatta may have had it, but surely Mal Meninga didn't carry it over the sideline. Touch judge says he did. And I agree with Meninga. I'm sure he didn't go over the line with the ball.
There he is.
Here it is.
No, the ball was stripped from him. The ball was pulled from him in the process of the tackle.
He certainly didn't carry it over the touchline. He might have lost it, but he didn't go over the touchline.
Right.
And the touch judge had his flag in the air. Bad decision. Parramatta have got it. 2 minutes to go. In such a tight game as this, you can go back and analyse various decisions and a few turning points in the match. But at the end of the day, Parramatta's defence has been awesome.
With 78 minutes of the game played, we would have to say that the likely winner is the one who deserved to be the winner.
And who is that?
Parramatta.
Done. They're 30 metres out. The Eels looking for a try to seal it. Ericsson with a great burst up the blind. Caught Canberra napping. 18 metres out now. Parramatta leading by 2 points. Looking for the match-winning try, the match-sealing try. Tollett. Stewart. Sensible football. Only 12 metres out, even a field goal here might just about take care of the clock. But they go to Butner for it. He grubbers it. Poor kick. Canberra Blake coming through. The ball just got over the dead ball line. Canberra had given up on it. And they need a quick 22 tap here.
There's only one bloke interested, however. Everyone else is flat. Got to Belcher.
1 minute to go. Meninga throws it. Walters. Stewart. Daly's got men outside. Daly goes straight through. Up to the halfway line. Comes to the fullback. Scott in. Still alive though. Daly with a tremendous burst. It's not all over yet. 25 metres out. Parramatta leading by 2 points. Out it comes to Croker. Croker goes himself. Tackled from behind by McPhail. They won't hear the siren anyway if it goes. David Furner. Out to Rothborn. Almost intercepted, but it could be enough. By the time the scrum packs. Bartolo's attempted intercept could have saved the day.
It's all over.
It has. The Parramatta fans have gone wild here. The Eels have won the match by 2 points. Withstanding a tremendous finish from Canberra, they threw everything at the Eels. But the Parramatta defence has hung on right to the end. And Parramatta defeating Canberra 10 points to 8. Well, what a game.
Oh, it's a wonderful game of football. The winner was Parramatta. They deserved to be. They played a far more impressive and intense game in defence. Their attack was marvellous. They played a very sensible game, moving the ball up the rucks, keeping it alive in the second half. And there's absolute euphoria here.
Well, the crowd giving both teams a tremendous ovation, but particularly Parramatta. There it is. David Penner scoring a try in the first half. Butner kicking 3 from 3, and how valuable were they? They were all close to the post, but he landed them all. Mullins scoring the try, a controversial try for Canberra, got him back in the match. Furner kicked 2 from 3. And his master's choice instead of Beetson's best goes to Scott Martin, the Parramatta fullback, and what a game.
Yes, he did everything well that a fullback should do. He was the last line of defence. He made about 4 or 5 try-saving tackles. He was in position to receive kicks. He hopped into dummy half from time to time. He made the extra man in the 3/4. He took the ball on the full. He had a classic fullback's game, and it was gratifying to see.
And Roy, I think we can go down to Johnny Peard with the man of the moment.
Well, Scotty, I guess you had something to prove today after last week.
Yeah, well, against Canterbury on Monday, they really knocked the wind out of us, and we had a point to prove today. Just go to show that our first 4 games weren't flukes, and I think we proved out there today that we are a force this year.
You'll be pretty pleased with your own form. I thought your anticipation from Ricky Stewart's kicks in particular was outstanding. Is it something you worked on?
Yeah, it's a lot of worked on. I'm in my favourite position now at fullback, and I've got a lot more room back there. And I was just looking where Ricky was trying to kick the ball, and I just kind of got there, and I was lucky enough to be there at the right time.
What about when the game opened up? How did you feel when they had you running from sideline to sideline?
Oh, that last 5 minutes, it went so long. We had a good lead there for a while, and then near the last couple of minutes, they tore us apart, and I thought, here we go again, there's got 2 or 3 blokes running at me, but our cover defence and scrambling defence today was very good from the forwards and everybody.
Yeah, good committed effort from everybody. Particularly Ericsson took a lot of pressure off the forwards.
Yeah, well, Sparrow's, is so big, and we use him as an extra forward, and he did take a lot of work off the forwards today.
Well, the fans are going home happy, and congratulations on your game.
Thanks, Johnny.
Well, in some ways, Parramatta might have been happy to go home just with a creditable performance, but instead they've posted the 2 points for a huge win over Canberra, a telling loss for Canberra, who remain on 6 points. And what about the performance of Paul Dunn as well? 34 tackles, 20 hit-ups.
Yes, leadership sort of obviously appeals to him. He's a veteran forward, an international. He's got a new lease of life here at Parramatta, and he obviously relishes the opportunity of young people taking notice of what he says.
Hard to believe that if you'd watched the first 10 minutes, Parramatta fans might have walked out, but they would have missed a great effort by their team. Well, they only scored 1 try, and it came in the first half, pretty much a solo effort by David Penner. Blair on the blind, Tollett on the open. They will go wide, surely. No, Penner makes a break himself. Yeah, there it was, David Penner, and he had the overlap, but he went for it himself.
Yes, he stepped off his left foot. Ricky Stewart was obviously attempting to move wide to cover defend, and it was a lovely slice through.
And what was it, 8-2 at half-time in favour of the Eels. Took a long time for Canberra to finally get on the board, though they did make quite a few breaks. And here it was, going to the centre, Brett Mullins. All those Canberra errors mounting, telling a story. It comes out to Mahon. He feeds it onto Ericsson, knocked down by Mullins. It's play on from the referee. Mullins could go all the way. He will not be stopped. Chris King gives chase. Brett Mullins streaks away, but it will be very interesting to see whether he knocked it on. So Brett Mullins may have been given the benefit of the doubt. We disagree on whether he knocked it down, but one way or the other Canberra scored, and that's set up a whirlwind finish.
Yes, that's one game that last 10 minutes you could package and send to all the fledgling rugby league nations of the world. And
well, a lot of them are watching right throughout Southeast Asia today.
Right,
You're
yeah.
a hero in Manila in the Philippines today and other places.
Hello, Ferdinand. Oh, no, he's gone.
But, yeah, a tremendous game of football. And coming up the rest of the round tonight, Gold Coast.